My name is Rosanna Hernandez, and I have this YouTube channel where I share information about being efficient and organized and productive and well managed with time. I wanted to make this video specifically because I went through a round of interviews a few months ago, and dealing with the rejections was so difficult, but I overcame, and I wanted to talk to you about what specific things I did to overcome those rejections so you can learn from the processes and keep going yourself if you're also interviewing. Besides efficiencyandorganization.com, my website where I put a lot of content on efficiency and organization and such, I also have this YouTube channel and I have some products on the website. So this is like a side business for me. I write books on the same topics because I am an expert in organization and efficiency with time. However, I do have a full-time job. I work for the public schools, and I've worked for public schools for about 14 years, going on 15 years, and I've worked full-time throughout the entire process. I started as a clerical employee and just kind of worked my way up. What I have learned over the years is, besides working in public education, I also worked in the private sector for a while. And so I have all kinds of experiences when it comes to careers and career movements. The one thing I've learned that I want to make sure you understand, and I'm with you on this, going through the interview process is very, very difficult. It's more difficult in the higher up levels. So for example, when I went from being a secretary to being a bookkeeper, applying and getting a job, I think it was only like my second or third interview, and I was able to get the job. But going from being a teacher to being an assistant principal was very difficult. It wasn't until my 9th interview that I was offered a position the first time. And here's the thing about interviews, especially when it's for like administrator and managerial and supervisory jobs. You're being interviewed by like a panel of people, whether it's in the public sector or the private sector. You're being interviewed by like a group of people, or at least 2 people. And a lot of times they're just writing notes. They're not really like showing you any, giving you any feedback with their faces, facial expressions. So you don't even know if you're doing well or not. And actually that's what they're trained to do. They're trained not to give out any reactions and to just keep it very generic. It's really hard though, if you're not used to selling yourself, to be in front of people and trying your very best, putting like your heart and soul out there, and then not getting a reaction. And even worse, being told later that day or a couple days later that you didn't get the job. How do you like challenge yourself to somehow overcome and go do it again the next day? So one thing that really, really helped me was having confidants, having people who had been there, done that, who can guide and I trust, and they can work with me. So like right after the interviews, I would call them and say, hey, they asked this question and this is how I answered it. What do you think? Would you answer it the same way or not the same way? So having like 1 or 2 people, trustworthy people who know what they're talking about, preferably who have interviewed or have gone through lots of interview processes, if they could give you some guidance, some feedback, or at least just kind of motivate you, like don't give up, don't give up. It's such an awesome thing to have. I had mine. I had like 3-4 people that I just stayed in contact with the whole time, and they helped me tremendously through the entire process. Now, when you come out of an interview and you kind of have a feeling that it didn't go as well as that you had hoped, or when you actually get the rejection via email, or like telling you we went with somebody else, sorry, we didn't choose you, it's really difficult, right? Like, so I'm gonna not tell you not to cry, okay? Do whatever it is that's gonna help you release that tension and then let it go. The worst thing you can do is, because I know there's also some anger involved in that, is taking it out on people around you, because that's what happens. See, when people get rejected, then they get so disgruntled that they take it out on their coworkers, they take it out on their family members. But how do you not do that? So the best way is to, whatever way you release your tension, release it, even if it means crying, okay? Or it means going to the beach if you live near a beach, going to the mountains, taking a walk, whatever it is, just kind of do that so that way you're not angry and you're not taking it out on other people, whether you realize it or not. Work on your self-care. So each week, do something that's gonna work for you. So if it means taking an hour to watch like a favorite program on TV, if it means going to get your nails done, if it means going to like a nice place in your community where you can walk, whatever your idea of taking care of yourself is, do it, because the rejections are hard and they're gonna have a big blow on your self-confidence. But how do you build it up? One way is to do self-care. I actually have an article that I've written on self-confidence. I'll have the link down in the description box of the video that you can check out. When we go through difficult times, one thing that helps us a lot of times is music, right? For me, music was huge. And you know, like the kinds of music I listen to, I like Gloria Estefan and Michael Bolton. I mean, it doesn't have to be encouraging music. For me, like soft rock kind of music helps, and that's what I listened to a lot going through those days when I was going to interviews, trying my best, putting myself out there, and then being rejected. Be very organized with your processes. Here's what I mean by that. How many jobs are you applying for? Are you putting enough applications out there? How many letters of recommendation do you have? You should have at least 3. Even if the application does not require it, you should have it. I am going to have some things for you in the description box that go really well with this. One of them is a tracker. So when I was applying, every time I applied, I wrote down like with the day that I did it, how many that day I applied, how many turned out to be interviews. The most important thing I can tell you that I did that worked for me and gave me that boost, that motivation, the most important thing was changing and adapting. So when I went on an interview, I called a confidant, I called one of my friends. Hey, I answered the question this way, is this okay? That was huge for me because you know what? Then I was like, oh, you know what? It's okay. I'm gonna pick myself up. Next time I go, they ask me that question, I know I'm gonna answer it better. One thing I wanna mention before I forget is if you want to be going to administration in like the school districts, I have 2 videos that have had a lot of views. They're on interview questions. So I'm going to put those links in the description box also that you can check out if you want to know what kind of questions they ask and how you can answer. So change and adapt, change and adapt. Like one thing that I found was in the beginning, I wasn't getting as many callbacks and I was like, what the heck? What could be wrong? So I had somebody look at my resume, give me feedback. I had somebody look at my letter of introduction. And then I revamped them. I made them better. And so that's what you want to do, is change and adapt. Another thing is, it took a lot of nerve for me to do this, but I did it. I went and started recording on Zoom. You know how like on Zoom, you can record yourself, right? So I recorded myself, like I set up a meeting just by myself and I recorded myself as though I'm answering interview questions. So I noticed that my eye contact was off. I had to work on my posture more. I had to learn to sit differently. I had to learn to control my volume more. And guess what? Each time I learned to improve, that gave me motivation that, you know what, next time I'm gonna do it better. The worst thing you can do is give up, okay? And I've had people say, I hate the interview process so much. That's why I've been stuck working in a toxic environment that I know I need to get out of. I know I'm underpaid. I know that it's not a happy place to work. I don't enjoy coming to work every day, but I just cannot go through the interview rejection process. That whole process is so daunting. I just cannot go through it. It hurts my self-esteem. When your self-confidence is low, it's really hard to sell yourself. So it's kind of like you're down this downward spiral. When you go to an interview, you want to be confident. You want to show them that you're going to be like the best out there, that they should hire you, because you're probably interviewing the same day as 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 15, 20 people. So what's going to make you stand out? And one of the things that helps you stand out, and this is something that we don't realize, is confidence. When you're rejected and rejected and rejected, it's hard for you to be happy, right? Like deep inside, it's hard for you to be happy. So you project that, unfortunately, when you're interviewing and you don't get the job. So that's why throughout the process, it's important for you to motivate yourself. So that way, when you go in, you're putting everything out there. And remember that rejection is part of the process, unfortunately. So what are you going to do to be able to overcome? This video is a little bit longer than my normal videos because I try not to make them this way, but I had so much good information that I thought I wanted to share with you. And so that's why it ended up being as long as it is. But I hope you liked it. I hope it was useful. I've been there, and I probably will be there, because I know myself maybe 3, 4 years down the road, when I'm ready to go to the next step, I'm going to have to go through the interview process, and there's going to be times when I'm not going to be chosen. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt my self-esteem. It's going to be a big blow to my self-confidence, but I have to somehow use everything I'm telling you here to redo it myself, so I can put the pieces back up to rebuild myself and go and try again. Please be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel for super helpful, informative information. Please also subscribe when you visit efficiencyandorganization.com. I appreciate you being with me today, and I will catch you in the next video.